Hello students, let's start the third unit, project organizational structure and issue. We have seen the two lectures regarding this unit. In the first lecture we have seen what is the project organizational structure, how the project organizational structure is formed, and what are the different types of the project organizational structure. That also we have seen in details. Again, we have seen the different leader responsibilities and roles of a project leader, means what are the different things project leaders are meant to do. That everything we have seen. Today we will see different skills or different essential skills that are needed for a project leader to lead a project. Okay, let us see. A project leader that has a unique set of skills that provides the tools needed to learn their team successfully. Required hard skills will be specific to the industry, and it may include project management platforms, industry knowledge, and relevant licensing also. Now let us see what are the different skills that are needed here. One thing that we can say about a project leadership is that ultimately leadership is not about glorious crowning act. It's about keeping your team focused on a goal and motivated to do their best to achieve the success of a project, especially when the stakes are high and consequences that really matters. It is about laying the groundwork for others success and then standing back and letting them shine. This is all about a particular leadership skill. Unfortunately, while inspiring, this doesn't really get into the different skills you need to lead. To get more specific, we will see some of the different skills for a project leader. The first thing or first skill here is a team management. Project leader, they are also captains of their team. This doesn't mean that they are necessarily the best players, but that they know how to set up their particular team and each individual member of that team. While project leaders, they always need to keep their eyes on the prize when it comes to the smooth competition of any given project. They are also responsible for the daily mechanism of team harmony. In other words, we can say that it means making sure the whole team stays focused and works smoothly together towards a shared vision. This is nothing but a team management. How to manage different things regarding a team, how to manage the different peoples for working togetherly for a particular goal, for a purpose, for achieving success regarding that team. But the team management, that isn't just about what you're working on today. Project leaders distinguish themselves by identifying and elevating the right teammates to the right position so they can truly shine. Okay, a project manager that might dedicate a lot of his or her time to make a process work on a paper, but particular project leader, they will bring that processes to life in the context of a team. To do this particular thing, they will use management tools like cheerleading, motivation, goal setting, and others as they are required. For example, here we can see a leader that recognize her team or his team has been putting an extra hours on an project, okay, on that particular project, that might come up with a special reward like special teams dinner together or a day of post projects to both demonstration appreciation and incentives continued hard work. This is how a leaders, they can lead the team members and they can have a good team management for the purpose of achieving success in a project. The next thing that is required as a skill in a project leader is a communication. One of the most important role of a project leader that can play is that of the chief communicator. Means the particular project leader should be able to communicate with his team as well as higher management also. The communication that can cover a lot of ground, including different team members to collaborate in a way that they are not considered here, to negotiate with different project stakeholders on timeline and expectations, and by removing any ambiguity about what's expected from each team member. In addition to this, To keeping your team members productive and feeling appreciated, you will like to have to engage with both stakeholders and clients as well, updating them on different progresses, managing their expectations, and communicating their feedbacks to the particular team. Okay, but here, more than that, just transferring knowledge and information, a project leader is differentiated by their ability to be seen as objective, transparent, trustworthy, focused, and confident. Here's a little bit more about each of these qualities and how you can cultivate them particular qualities. Let us see. Trustworthiness. Above all, a project leader need to be trusted. In different studies that shows that the trust is the primary defining characteristic of a very best workplace. Okay, to be seen as a trustworthy, one thing you have to consider, you need to put your words into the action. This means that trusting teammates to get things done without micromanaging, or even simply expressing that you trust them to what they all the all they say. Okay, next thing is transparency. The transparency that goes hand in hand with the trust. Okay, it is also very much important as the trust. How can your team trust you if you're holding things back from them? Okay, the best project leader knows that it's more important to be open and honest about what's going on and work together as a team towards a better solution. Okay, there are no hidden agendas or agendas or different readings between the lines. That's why there should be a good transparency in between the team members and team leaders. Objectives and fairness is the next thing we can consider here. The complex project, that means you are bound to have the conflicts and some disagreements also, and the project leader that can be seen as playing favorite. Strong project leaders actively listens to all the sides of the works without biasing the different things. Means there can be different conflicts, and the team leader should be able to understand or listen each and every person regarding to the project, each and every worker regarding to the project, and find different solutions on that things. Okay, focusing and stability. The project leaders that need to be unwavering in the ability to work under pressure. Not all the project that will go as planned, but your skill as a leader that is being able to steer the ship no matter how rough the seas get. Okay, that is one of the example. That's how you have to focus, and you should have a stability. There are some of the risks, there is so much pressure, there are the things that are not going as per plan, but you should be stable. You should have some of the focus on the things that you have to do, then and then only it will be done in a good manner. The next thing is confidence. Okay, stakeholders, executives, and team members all want a project leader who is well confident in their knowledge and abilities, without being without being very biasing regarding to the different members of the team. Be clear in your own language, direct in your suggestion, and honest and open with your feedback. That is how you can show a good confidence of yourself towards the stakeholders and different executives and team members of all the project. This is how the communication is an important skill that is to be considered here for a team leader. The next skill is listening. One of the important thing a team leader should have is listening. Whatever the things are going on in a project, he should be a good listener there. While the members of the team, they are giving different ideas, different solutions, different things they are telling about the project, the team leader should be able to listen it properly and do work as per the things they are suggesting. Okay, that is one of the important skill. The next skill we can consider as a project leader is conflict resolution. Let us see what is actually the conflict resolution. Okay, let's discuss this conflict resolution. Nothing slows down a project like a conflict. Means if there are some of the conflict, it slows down the progress of a project. There are some of the things that come in between the progress of the project, that is conflict. But it's a thing that it's a dream about a project leader to think that your team will spend all the day happily working together. Okay, instead conflict resolution is at the core of beginning of a good leader. Means if you think that if you're having dream that your whole team that is working together very happily, that will not come in real every time. Okay, there may be some of the conflict. That's why you should be able to resolve all the conflicts and have a good leader or become a good leader on a large team. This might mean that resolving conflicts amongst the multiple project managers, as every manager that aims to carve out their contribution to the bigger puzzles. It is essential to maintain open channels to communication, ensures that individuals that can work productively together and feel greater that than some of their parts. Okay, for example, we can see here, let's say you have got two teams working on dependent parts of the project, but they have gotten out of synchronization with each other and feel like they are being held back. All of a sudden they are missing deadline and pointing the finger at each other. This can be a conflict. Then you should be able to resolve the conflict. Okay, at this point a project leader that need to step in into that particular conflict and de-escalate and get the team back working productively together. Means whatever the things that are coming in between the project progress, you should be able to remove that things and make the people to work productively together in a good manner. The simplest answer here that would be bring the two project managers together and dig into their project backlogs and future sprint planning into a tool like Planio. Okay, and here finally what you can do is that you can add each project manager as a watcher on the key issues. This way they will get visibility into dependent tasks and know there are valid reasons why they are being held up. Okay, this is how these things can be resolved or conflict can be resolved in a good manner, and which can be a good characteristic or a good skill of a project leader. In particular project management theory, it is called that confronting, or more generally you can call this problem solving, is a good management thing in a project management. However, not all the conflicts they are easily win-win scenario like this. Okay, they can be solved in a proper way. As a project leader, you also need to be aware of the scenarios where someone is going to feel like they are on losing side. Okay, and here you should have one thing in your mind, that there is a difference between being a leader and a micromanager. Creating a successful environment doesn't always mean that being up in everyone's business to ensure that everything runs smoothly. Be clear about the boundaries and then give your team members the room to flourish whatever the things they want to do. Okay, this is how a conflict resolution is a good skill of a project leader. The next skill is team leadership, or we can call it as a servant leadership also. A project leader that knows that people they are on the task. Okay, here the core project leaders are what they are called as a servant leaders or team leaders. This is the leadership philosophy in which the main goal is to serve the individual's need rather than just instead of the company. Okay, here they have to consider the need of individual persons here, and they have to by considering that they have to fulfill the needs of the each and every person. This doesn't mean that you can forget about hitting deadlines and milestones also. Instead of this, think about that as a quality that makes a great master. You are not only you are not only helping guide to the groups as a whole, but you are making different adjustment. They are based on the feedback that you are getting from each and every member. Okay, a good project leader that is always looking for ways to get more out of their team, not because it will improve the bottom line, but because the most important investment in it is that team they are building here. In a project leader role, it don't think that yourself as a just teacher. You're also a student and you can learn a lot from every member of the team. That is how you can have a good team leadership. Okay, the next skill of a project leader we can consider here is The motivation. Okay, nearly every project that hits what is called as a messy middle. Okay, this is where the clarity and the energy that was there from the start sudden that is disappears here, and your team feels like every day is a slog towards nowhere. Okay, means they are having a messy middle where at the starting they were very enthusiastic regarding the project, but at the middle of the project they are being very boring regarding the project. Okay, this can happen for a number of reasons, that is we can say maybe early feedback on their work that isn't what was expected. Okay, or a stakeholder that came in wanting that to change the scope of the project, or maybe they are simply losing team from long hours and high expectations. These are the reasons that can form a messy middle. Whatever the case, a good team leader that will be able to lead the signs of discouragement and even the burnouts here, and they can implement strategies to make sure that people stay both inspired and on the track. This is more than just a pat on the back or a good job. You need to be aware of the psychology of a motivation and how to keep your team focused and inspired. For an example here we can consider that recent studies that are published about about this particular project leader is that workers who spend 50 minutes at the end of every day writing the reflections on what they did right, okay, what they did wrong, and what they learned today, or where they able to improve their performance by some of the person. There are lots of other ways to help the team to be more productive and motivated. The key is to understand that these small practices that can have an outside impact on your team ability to get things done and feel good about their progresses. Not only that, but it gives you the tangible feedback to work with so many that can continue to optimize their roles and responsibilities for their strategies and weaknesses. Next is critical thinking. Over the course of a project, especially a big project with a long timeline and lots of different moving parts, that changes will be proposed, and the original plan that might start to shift towards something. Okay, maybe a client will see the first mock up to draft and realize that this wasn't what they was thinking, or maybe your main competitor comes out with a drastic change and your company is suddenly rethinking their strategies. Okay, as a project leader your team should look to you during this different moments of uncertainty, and while you can certainly help identify and propose the different changes, you truly leadership skills come through the helping your team through this different times. Is by having different critical thinking, having different good thinking in this critical situation, you can save your team in this particular time. Okay, this means that communicating new workflows or processes and making sure that your team has access to knowledge they need and that situation. Okay, this is how by critical thinking the project leader can lead their team in a good way for the success of a project. It means that a project leader that doesn't just address the problems, they create different solutions regarding the problems. A good project leader will be able to spot different troubles and ideally potential troubles, and then present and implement solution that satisfy their team and any relevant stakeholders. You need to be seen as a solution person who's always looking for the positive rather than drowning in the negotiates for unexpected issues. Okay, this is how you should be able to form the different solution regarding the problems of a project. Part of this is maintaining a positive attitude and focusing on what can be done rather than whatever is going wrong. Okay, for example, if you have a team member who's struggling to meet different deadlines, you have to practical problems that needs to be addressed and corrected as soon as possible, but you also have to dig deeper for the different solutions for meeting the deadlines of the project. Why isn't this a person performing up to expectations, and how can you help that particular person to work in a proper way and have success in the project, forming project deadlines or meeting project deadlines? So take the time to look beyond the surfaces of an issue and discover why it happened in the first place. Remember that project leaders, they are servant leaders. Underneath it all, your responsibility is to that all the team and the individuals, they are making it up and forming different solutions. Okay, clear about all the skills of a project leader. Now let us see, there are different ways to show the people that you are a project leader. Okay, ultimately, if you want to distinguish yourself as a project leader, what you have to do is you need to demonstrate that you are up to the task. Okay, so if those list of the skills still feel different things, here are some of the ways that we will discuss now to differentiate yourself from the different managers and different people they are working in a team as a project leader. Okay, demonstrate your interest and ability in managing human resources and team dynamics. Okay, set the different clear expectation for yourself and your team, and then make sure that they are meet they will meet all the things they are you have collected, you consider as expectations. Okay, contribute to resolving, not creating the conflicts. Okay, you have to think in a good manner for the purpose of resolving different conflicts, solving that conflict, making different solutions of for the peoples, motivating that peoples towards the solving that conflicts. Okay, act as a cheerleader for every team member, ensuring that they will both recognize and be rewarded for different accomplishments. Sometimes you have to take ownership also over every aspect of the team's programs, demonstrating that the buck stop with up and that you are up to the task. Everything you have to do for the purpose of showing that you are a project leader. Remember what one thing always, that you don't always need a title to be a leader. Okay, a project leader that isn't always called as a project leader. As someone with these skills that we have seen now, you will naturally rise up to the top of the management and separate yourself from the different peoples. Okay, just keep in mind that being a leader isn't simply about hitting targets and delivering the goods. It's also about projecting the right attitude and inspiring others to do their best work, inspiring all the people they are working under you. Everyone needs a good manager to keep the things on track and on budget. But the leaders here, we can consider the leaders here will always transcend those essentials and help to create a better work environment which will allow every team member to work within the environment. Okay, clear about all the skills of a project leader and how you can be a good project leader. Now let's move to the next point. What is the relationship between the project manager and a line manager? A project manager is a manager that is assigned to manage a single project, whereas the line manager that manages the work that is taken up by a line of project. Okay, a project manager that may or may not be the line manager. The entirely that depends on the organizational structure and its different types. The line manager, they interact with the project managers who manage the projects that fall in their line of business. A line manager, that also called as a reporting manager, is a person responsible for administrative part of the resources. It means that project manager that is for a single particular project, he is a manager for the particular project, whereas line manager, he is the manager for different lines of project. And there is the thing that always project manager and line manager, they should be having an interface between them. It means that a project manager and line manager, the interface refers to working the relationship between the project manager and line manager to get the project activities accomplished within the constraints of limited time, allocated cost, and specified quality of the performance. A project manager that is fully responsible to achieve the project objectives with the parameter that is different constraints of time, cost, and quality and standards. Okay, a project manager, he needs all the types of human and non-human resources like money, manpower, materials, equipment, information, and technology, etc. For the successful completion of a project, through the smooth operation of project activities, all these things they have to consider. But project manager does not control the resources directly, accepted the project budget. The resources, they are collected by other line managers. Okay, whatever the resources the project manager have to consider for a successful project, he can directly get that resources from the line manager. Okay, they are often called as a resource managers also. The line manager, they are also called as a resource manager because they are responsible for the purpose of collecting different resources of the project. They assign directly to the resources to the project. The project managers, they control only those resources which are temporarily loaned by the line manager. He or she reminds the manager that there are also time and cost constraints of the project. This is the starting of the point for better resource control. Therefore, a project manager must negotiate with all the line manager for pooling the required resources on time. Okay, a project manager will always be required to be interfaced with the line manager for the different purposes. What are the purposes? To get needed resources from the functional department on time. Okay, to get the support of the line manager while negotiating with various parties in connection with the project work. Next reason, to achieve the harmonization between the project works and the line department works. To get the technical and managerial assistance from the line manager to solve the project related problems. Every time project manager always have interface with the line manager. Here one thing we can say that the effective project management and the project success, they are highly dependent on working in relationship between the project manager and line manager. Okay, so there must be better coordination, reporting, communication and negotiation between them for a good working relationship. Moreover, we can say that to promote the good working relationship, the project manager, they should help a proper understanding of the quantitative tools and techniques for the planning of the project, scheduling and controlling different works they are regarding to the project, and organization structure that, and considering the job description also. Open communication with line manager, including the effective coordination with line manager, should have the skill of a project manager. Organization behavior to tackle the problems of dual reporting system, these are the things they have to consider as a project manager. Okay, getting the relationship between the project manager and line manager. Here let us discuss one more important point. Actually, what is the roles and responsibilities, or what is the work that is done, that is to be done by a line manager? Line manager oversees all the employees and the operations of the business while reporting to the higher ranking managers. They play an important role in the operation of many businesses, supervising and managing workers on daily basis and acting as a license between the employees and the upper management. Okay, a line manager is responsible for managing employees and resources to achieve the specific functions or organization goals. The goals are recruiting and hiring the talents to fill the team position, providing training and support to the new hired peoples, cross training the employees to ensure that job rotation and minimize the assignments, they coverage the gaps. They can provide the coaching and performance feedback to all the team members. Okay, line manager also are responsible for communicating and ensuring understanding of functional or departmental goals also. They are responsible for measuring individuals and the team metrics and performance against the targets and monitoring the different progresses. Here, identifying the needs of corrective actions when necessary. Line managers are also responsible for ensuring the quality standards for all the processes on their teams. Evaluating overall teams and individual performances and delivering the performance review is also an important task of a line manager. Here, the line manager are also responsible for engaging and coordinating with other line managers across the organization. They are also responsible for providing reports on productivity and other performances indicators to senior management. Here we, in short, we can say that a bit part of line manager's job is ensuring that the employees reporting to them, they are doing their jobs effectively and efficiently. The important skill for a line manager is to have include effective communication, active listening, the ability to prioritize and delegate the task, leaderships and different organizations. Let us see the difference between line manager and project manager. Line managers are managers who run the departments, number of departments they are running. The project managers are running only an individual project. Line managers direct the work of other employees across the department, but the project manager directs the work of the other employees in their own department, not across the departments. Line managers are responsible for administrative managers of employees they direct. Okay, but project manager are not responsible for administrative management of employees they direct. This is the difference between the line manager and project manager. So don't get confused between line manager and project manager.